Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. We are heading to one of our favorite places for a little virtual field trip. We are heading to Costa Rica and the Toucan Rescue Ranch. The Toucan Rescue Ranch is an incredible place where they focus on rescuing and rehabilitating native Costa Rican wildlife. So whenever possible, they will help the animals in need and then release them back into the wild. Of course, there's times that isn't possible, and then those animals are given a really good home at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. As the name says, toucans are definitely a species you can find there, sloths as well, and a variety of life, including things like kinkajous and why am I blanking? Owls and parrots and anteaters and porcupines. The list goes on and on and on. So let's get live to the Toucan Rescue Ranch. Let's bring Isaac in with us. Here he comes. Hey, Isaac, how are you?
All right, pretty well, Joe. What about you?
I am good. It is great
Nice.
to be at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. We have an amazing group of classrooms. They are tuning in live via YouTube. They are tuning in live in camera spots behind the scenes, and we are ready to dive in.
All right, awesome. So yeah, well, before we get started with the coolest part of our work, the animals, yeah, I would like to dig a bit more and talk a bit more about what Joe was saying about the Toucan Rescue Ranch. And yeah, as he was saying, we are a rescue center. Here we specialize in rescue, rehabilitating, and rewilding animals. Now, the rewilding part is always as long as it's possible, right? Unfortunately, that's not possible in every case. Sometimes animals develop some sort of handicap or some sort of disadvantage that they have that makes them non-rewild. Well, non-releasable, not really good candidates to be rewilded, right? That's what I mean. Um, and yeah, the advantage that we have with this kind of tours, the virtual tours, is that we get to see both types of animals, the ones that are on the rehab area and the ones that are permanent residents that lives in the sanctuary side. So here in the Toucan Rescue Ranch, we also offer on-site tours, but the animals that we have here for the on-site tours are just the ones on the sanctuary, because the ones that we have in rehab, we don't want them to get stressed out with so many people, right? And yeah, today we're going to take a look at both kinds of animals. And yeah, I'm going to switch the camera just one sec so we can get started with some sloths. All right. Okay. Now, here you can see our little lovely baby Pringle. She's curled up in a ball, sleeping right now. And actually, I think most of the sloths that we have here on the sanctuary side are sleeping. But no worries. Here I have a trick, a special treat to see if I can get them a bit more active. So yeah, let me try with Georgie, who's over there in that bucket. All right. So sloths are an amazing creature, and they have really cool adaptations, right? One of those many cool adaptations will be their sense of smell. Not like the right side. The right side, it's terrible. These animals have monochromatic vision. They just see in black and white. However, their sense of smell, it's on another level. All right, there you can see him. So yes, sloths are also resilient animals. I will describe them. And here at the ranch, we have rewilded completely blind sloths, and there's no problem. They do just fine with their sense of smell in the wild. And yeah, the one that's coming, it's Georgie, the big Georgie. He is the biggest sloth that we have right now here in the sanctuary side. He weighs around 7 kilos, something like that. And well, when we are talking about sloths here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, we always have a focus and we insist in telling people The reputation that these animals have does not make them justice at all. Sloths, contrary to the popular beliefs, are not slow animals, they're not lazy, they're not sleepy. Of course, most of the sloths that we have right here are not helping me to prove this right now. As you can see, Georgie is not the fastest animal. I'm aware of that. But there's a reason why he's moving slow. There's no rush, there's no need to spend energy. It's a choice. So, yeah, these animals are just focused on saving energy. Now, there are two different kinds of sloths, the three-toed sloth and two-toed sloth. Now, with Georgie, you can see that he has two fingers on his hands, or yeah, two digits on his forelimbs. But it's a bit difficult to see from here. He has three toes on each of his back limbs. But yeah, as I said, he's a two-toed sloth. So it's a bit tricky. The difference is on the forelimbs, on the hands, right? So yeah, be aware of that. All sloths have three toes on each of the back limbs. So the difference is on the forelimbs. Now, well, at least you can see that he doesn't eat slow, because yeah, he loves those hibiscus flowers. As I said before, it's a special treat, equivalent of chocolate for them. So yeah, sloths love to eat flowers, but of course that's not the only thing they eat. In the case of two-finger sloth, their diet is mostly staple on leaves. These animals are what it's called folivores, which means that they eat mostly foliage, leaves. However, I will describe them like some sort of opportunistic omnivores because they will also eat occasionally some fruit in the wild and even animal protein like insects, birds' eggs, and occasionally they will eat also a small vertebrate like a hatchling or a frog. And yeah, actually, their diet is what defines sloths. Um, Leaves are everywhere in the tropical rainforest. So I think we all can agree that's kind of like a smart idea to eat leaves in the tropical rainforest. They're never going to run out of food. But it also presents some disadvantages. Leaves do not provide too much calories, too much energy. The opposite of chocolate. When we eat chocolate, we are full of sugar and energy and we move way more. Sloths are the opposite. When they eat leaves, well, they don't really get a lot of energy. And that's why they just rather to move slow to save the small amount of energy that they can get from leaves. However, I insist, these animals can be really fast if they want to, highly aggressive, and sloths are by far one of the most dangerous animals that we work with, especially Georgie. He knows what I'm talking about. um, these animals should be respect, and I'm not joking here. You can see, and I've been showing you, that they have pretty long claws, which, of course, aren't just for hanging. Their claws are one of the reasons why you should fear sloths or respect sloths. The self-defense position of these animals are usually hanging from their back limbs and with their arms open, and that's to swing quickly. And yeah, these animals with those claws could cause some serious damages. Also, they can bite. And yeah, sloth bite is pretty nasty, really ugly. And that's actually one of the craziest things about these animals. They have teeth that are, well, they have premolars and molars that allows them to chew on leaves, but they also have four teeth that are called caniniforms, very similar to the kinds that carnivores have. But sloths are not carnivores, as I said before. So these animals have those teeth, those caniniforms, merely for self-defense. And yeah, I mean, a sloth bite is not pretty at all. But what's even worse than the injury, it will be the infection that comes afterwards. And that's because of the bacteria that I told you about. So yeah, these animals present lots of bacteria in their stomach that actually helps them to digest leaves. because yeah, that's another disadvantage of eating leaves. Leaves are very difficult to digest, and that's why they have bacteria that helps them with this. Right? So yeah, every time that we need to deal with a sloth, we need to be extremely careful and keep very in mind their teeth and their claws, but also their strength. Well, just look how Georgie is hanging, how's he holding his weight. Makes sense that these animals are strong. They live up in trees. They spend most of their life doing pull-ups. So yeah, they're strong. In proportion to their size and body weight, they are 3 times stronger than a human. Well, now he's really up there. So let me use another one of the flowers that I have to see if I can get maybe Pringle a bit more active. Yeah, let's see. These animals, they don't sleep hanging like many people think. You'll see them hanging with their eyes closed and doing nothing, but most of the times that's just sunbathing. In the wild, they will look for places where branches kind of like gather together from some sort of natural hammock. And our sloths are spoiled, so we give them buckets and blankets. Now, Pringle didn't want to help, but let's see. What about Stevie? All right. So yeah. Oh, take a look at her teeth. Look what I was telling you before. And yeah, to continue talking about how aggressive they can be, as I was saying, they are surprisingly strong animals. And yeah, we need to be extremely careful with them. So when we need to perform treatments on an adult wild sloth at the clinic, we need to hold this sloth. We rather to hold them than to sedate them because we don't want to give them drugs, especially when they require daily treatments. And yeah, guys, the optimal number of people that is required to hold one adult sloth will be 5 people. A person per limb, but the fifth person will be holding the head. I know what's to help with that. I have helped since the pets occasionally will need an extra hand, and I can tell you how exhausting this is. I mean, they're strong, they're stubborn, they'll be battling against you during the whole treatment, and we need to be careful when we grab a hand, for example. We need to make sure that we are the ones grabbing them instead of them grabbing us, because if they grab us with those hands, with their strength, with their grip, they can break a human's bone, like an arm or fingers easily. So yeah, these animals are super interesting. Since I started working here, they have become one of my favorite animals, but not because of the usual reasons, not for the usual reasons. It's pretty common for people to come here at the ranch saying that sloths are their favorite animal because they're slow and lazy and sleepy, just like they are. And no, that's just lazy humans try to justify themselves. Sloths are not like that. But also, I'd like to clarify that so far I've been telling you things and I've been focusing in talking about these species, two-finger sloth. If I talk about the three-finger sloth, well, I'll be talking about a completely different animal. They are genetically super different animals to the point that they belong to different families. So let me give you an example or an idea so you can understand this. Humans and chimpanzees belong to the same family, while two-finger sloth and three-finger sloth belong to different families. They are completely different animals. And I'll be here all day telling you all the differences between them, and just the ones that I know. I don't even know them all. But I would like to let you know what I consider one of the main differences between the two species: their diet. Both the species will eat mostly leaves. However, as I mentioned before, these ones occasionally will eat some other things like fruits and animal protein. Three-finger sloth, on the other hand, eats exclusively leaves, nothing else. So that means that they have a diet less rich in calories, less rich in energy than these ones, and that's why they're a bit slower and less aggressive than these ones. So yeah, the bad reputation of being slow and lazy in sleep is mostly thanks to the three-finger sloth. Still, do not trust any sloth. Respect them all. Because even though three fingers are not as aggressive as these ones, they get easily stressed out and they could suffer some serious health problems due to stress. I'm going to take advantage to show you what I was telling you before there. You can see a foot and a hand. And you can see it by looking, by counting the number of fingers or toes. Three toes and two fingers. So yeah, she's a two-toe sloth with three toes. Now, uh, here we have some adults. Oh, look at Georgie, he's taking a sunbath. But I would like to go over the rehab area and show you some of the babies that we have. Just one sec. We have baby sloths, not because we breed sloths. We don't. That's actually illegal without a special permits in the country. However, we have sloths because baby sloths because they're orphans, which means that either their mother died or abandoned them. And yeah, right now I'm in kind of like high school, Sloth High School. We have a really cool program called Saving Sloths Together, where we raise and rehabilitate orphan baby sloths. All of this with the aim of returning them back to the wild when they're strong and independent enough. So here's another friend joining us. And well, to accomplish this, to rewild these babies, first they need to go through um, different stages of the program. 5 stages to be more specific. And those stages are preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, and of course, finally college. All right, so the one that is on the left, it's Noodles. I know him pretty well because I love him. He's so feisty and aggressive and big. And yeah, Noodles is pretty cool. Um, so well, in each stage, we give a different focus. So for example, the slots that are on preschool or elementary school, the focus is just on growing and drinking their milk because yeah, they're tiny babies. But then when they move to preschool, they start getting more practice at climbing, and also they start becoming a bit more nocturnal. Then on middle school, they um, they win. Sorry, they stop drinking milk. They're completely off of weaning, and then they move to high school. That it's like this stage where they get to practice in this structure, to practice climbing on this structure, and also they start eating more solid food, like a more variety. Finally, the big day arrives, and we take them to college. So when they're in college, we take them to our relay site, and there we put them inside a pre-release enclosure. So this like this really huge enclosure outside where they will be in contact with the wild all day, all night, eating more wild food, experimenting weather changes, and after all this process, they get graduated and they are ready to go back to the wild. Now, the babies that we have here, or we receive here, uh, they come with different ages. So yeah, as I said, we receive like almost newborns that start on elementary school and preschool, sorry, But we also have received some other bigger sloths, babies still, but yeah, bigger. So sloths, they do not have like a breeding season like most animals, so we receive babies with different ages almost all year long. And yeah, sloths, as I said, they don't have like a breeding season. The female, well, the gestation period in the case of this species, it's 11 months and a half. And then the mom will give birth. 3 months after she gives birth, she can get pregnant again. So in here, as a rule, we have that every time we receive an adult female sloth, we must do an ultrasound because most of the times they are the female arrives in here being pregnant. And yeah, then the baby will stay with the mom for about year to year and a half. Yeah, year to year and a half until she abandons the baby. In here, the babies stay with us for about 2 years, 2 years and a half, a bit more because we just really need to make sure that they are ready to be rewilded, right? So let's take a look at these two here, and yeah, as I said, the mom, she gives birth after 11 months of being pregnant, and she does it up high on trees. So actually, that's one of the craziest things about uh, sloths. Another of the craziest things about sloths. The first thing a sloth does in this life, it's literally bungee jumping. The baby just comes out and hangs from the umbilical cord, and then the mom will pull it up. It's not all of the times. Sometimes the mom will take a position where she's able to catch it like immediately. But yeah, most of the times they start the life with a bit of adrenaline, right? And well, yeah, the babies thankfully are very active. They're doing pretty well eating leaves. So these animals are not as picky as koalas. You know, koalas are famous also for eating leaves, and to be more specific, eucalyptus. So in here, what we call the sloth house, we have like, let me show you different buckets with different kinds of leaves. So yeah, uh, these animals eat a wide variety of different types of leaves. They love one that we call poro. They also eat a lot of cecropia. That's one of the favorites, and mostly from frugal trees such as mango, cacao, almond tree. It's one of the favorites too. And yeah, here we feed them at the beginning with mostly leaves, but then we started giving some other nutritional things just to for them to grow even faster. All right, so I'm going back to see if some other adults are active. Hopefully they'll be. I really can't promise anything with them. Sloths, yes, I mentioned they're not slow or lazy or sleepy. Um, they don't sleep that much actually. They sleep between 8 to 10 hours per day, like many people on the weekends, I will say. In captivity, it's true that they will sleep more, but that's because there's not too much to do. Okay, so yeah, I told you before that we give them blankets, and there you can see that I'm not lying. So as I mentioned, sloths are just highly focused on saving energy, and even though they're mammals and they can thermoregulate, they depend more on the environmental temperature. So yeah, they're more similar to a reptile in that aspect. That's why actually you'll see them taking sun baths very often because they're really bad thermoregulating. And in here we give them the blankets um, because yeah, they're spoiled and we want to make this easier for them. Now, I told you that two and three-toed sloths are completely different. I told you that one of the main differences is their diet, but also they have several physical differences. For example, this species two-finger sloth, They have the lovely piggy nose that, as I said before, it's very useful. Also, these animals, they have hairless pads. There you can see, yeah, like hairless palms and soles, which is the opposite of three-finger sloths. They paws and soles are completely covered by fur. The fur it's different. In the case of this species, they have just one layer. In the case of two-finger sloth, while three fingers they have two layers, an undercoat and external layer. Sorry, I was just looking at her teeth. They're huge. Their teeth, by the way, never stop growing. Actually, they wear down their teeth every time that they're eating or open and close their mouth for some reason. These ones, this species, they lack of tail, while three fingers, they do have a teeny tiny tail. Leslie, the founder, she describes it as a Doberman's tail.
So Isaac, I was just thinking while we're watching these adults move around a little bit, we have such a big group of classrooms today. Maybe we should start a few questions.
For sure, yeah, go ahead.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm going to start bringing in some camera classrooms. We also have lots of questions coming in via the live chat, so we'll make sure that we mix in some of those questions. But let's start with a camera classroom or two, and then we'll go from there. So Miss McGinnis's crew, it's a whole bunch of fourth graders hanging out with us in Maine. Let's bring them in front and center. Hey, fourth graders. All right.
Okay, go ahead, honey. How can kids help sloths?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Can you repeat the question? How can kids help sloths?
How can kids help sloths? That's an amazing question. Thank you so much for that question. And very important indeed. So sloths, I will say that their main threats will be habitat loss in some part. But lately, over the years, let's say a bad reputation. So, sorry. People tend to picture sloths as cute, cuddly, slow animals. And in several countries, including Costa Rica, unfortunately, there are people that takes advantage of them. And they charge people for taking pictures hugging sloths. Or they charge for the opportunity to see sloths in private places where the sloths can't escape, like in islands, let's say. And yeah, I will say that the best way to help sloths and something that kids can do is to spread the word, to tell sloths are not an animal that can be abused. They're not an animal that we can take advantage of. So we should just respect them, and yeah, spread the voice. It's a huge way to help them. So yeah, thank you so much for that question.
All right, fourth graders, great question. We'll see if we can swing back your way for another question. Now, Isaac, I know at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, you guys raise funds through a couple different ways. One is when people come and visit when they're in Costa Rica. They can come visit the ranch. They can learn about the different animals and the important work that you do. And then another way is that classrooms anybody can make a donation to the Toucan Rescue Ranch, and that helps your work a lot.
That is correct.
So I want to bring in a classroom now who, after seeing an event, a group of students here, they wanted to do something to help. So in Illinois, we have an amazing group of students at Fremont Elementary. I want to bring them in here and see if they can get a little bit loud for us. There they are. Fremont Elementary. They came up with a super cool idea to make jewelry out of the 6-pack tops that you see on bottles of pop, cans of pop sometimes, and things like that. And I'm going to share some pictures in a minute, but I want to get some of their questions first. It's such a cool idea.
Go ahead, Taylor. How many sloths do you rescue in a year?
How many sloths do we rescue in a year? That's a great question. So, sloths, we receive them kind of like all year long. There's not like in a specific season where we receive more. Th- so that happens with some other animals, but not with sloths. So let me say that in average per month, we will receive around 3, 4 sloths. So yeah, let's say around what, over 50, 60 slots per year, more than that, I will say. Yeah.
That's a lot.
and and I think that's without the babies, because we also receive lots of babies.
Wow. So
All
50
right.
to
Let's
60
grab
kids.
another question while we have you there, Fremont.
Can baby sloths swim?
Can baby sloths swim? That's a great question. I've never seen a baby sloth swim by itself, although with their moms I've seen them like grabbing on their moms and swimming with them. um, and yeah, sloths are very instinctive animals. They, since they're babies, they are ready for almost everything, and I will say that swim is one of those things that they're ready for. It's like in their instinct.
All right. I want to share a quick picture here because, and I'm going to ask a question because this is the really cool pins that you guys created
Oh,
from those plastic 6-pack rings. I have to know, where did this idea come from? Where did this super cool idea to make these pins, this jewelry from these rings come from?
A recycling plant gave it as an idea, and so we ran with it.
Well, it's amazing. You guys raised over $1,000 for the Toucan Rescue Ranch. It's absolutely incredible. You grade 1s and 2s, you're wildlife heroes. It's really cool.
yeah. And yeah, Joe, if you don't mind, before we continue with other schools and questions, I
Yeah.
just want to take a moment to give a massive thank you to Fremont Elementary. I really mean it. As Joe said, we work thanks to donations. And yeah, I really mean it. Thank you so much, guys. You're helping us to continue helping animals like Georgie. Believe me, Georgie appreciates it a lot. So yeah, thank you so much.
All right. So cool, boys and girls. We're going to come back to see if you have another question or two for us, but I want to visit some of our other classrooms and give them a chance to come in and join us. So we're going to go to Farmington, Missouri this time. We've got our summer school. There they are. Summer school crew. All right. Who's ready for us?
Okay, come on up, both you three. Okay, it's kind of a three-part question, but really it's just one question. But come on up.
Okay.
It's all about protecting.
Perfect.
How do the sloths defend themselves when they're slower? And
How do they protect their babies?
Okay, all right, that's a great question. So the thing is that they are slow when they don't need to defend themselves. However, when they need to defend themselves is when they will move fast. And yeah, as I said before, believe me, you don't want to mess with an angry sloth, not even predators. These animals, they're not in danger of extinction. They're not even threatened. They are stable. They have stable populations, and they are successful as an species because yeah, they know how to defend themselves in a really fast and aggressive way.
That's crazy. Okay, cool. I go.
Right?
All right. You wouldn't think that looking at them, but yeah, very, very tough animals. And I think there was a third part to that question. So go ahead.
what advantage do sloths have on another prey?
And you kind of explained that a little bit, but so what exactly advantage-wise do they have?
One advantage that they have, like against other preys,
Yes.
like why predators will eat other animals instead of sloths.
Yeah.
Okay, great question. So yeah, I will say there are two reasons why predators don't go to look, don't go to hunt a sloth very often. One, as I mentioned, is their aggressivity. So these animals are fast, aggressive, and yeah, it will really take a lot of effort. It's a way the predator will have to spend energy. Also, there's a really high risk. if a sloth bites, let's say, one of the bats that are the poor ones who get bit the most in here, it's not a nice time for them. They will clean the injury, get stitches, broad spectrum antibiotics, and yeah, as I said, it's not a nice time, but they can live. They can continue living. In the wild, a sloth bite is almost a sentence of death due to the infection. The predator might die of sepsis due to the infection, yeah, sooner or later. And also, sloths, they don't really worth it. They don't provide too much calories or meat. So yeah, it's easier for predators to go after other prey.
All right, Missouri, great question. Thanks, Farmington. Let's jump to another one of our live classrooms. We need to visit. Let's go to our third graders in Sherwood Park. Let me bring them in front and center. Here they come. Hey, Fulton Vale, how we doing?
Good.
All right, who's got a sloth question for us?
Oh, go ahead, Remy.
How do sloths communicate?
Oh, great question. So yeah, how do sloths communicate? Great question. Yeah, in the case of three-finger sloth, they are vocal animals. They produce different sounds. They can growl, they groan. When they get angry, they start heavily breathing. They do the hissing like a cat. But in the case of this species, I will say the communication between them that is not very often. Sloths are solitary animals, by the way. But when they need to communicate is by scent and different kinds of smells. As I said before, their sense of smell, it's amazing. So yeah, let's say that they get stinky when they need to say something.
All right. Thanks, third graders. Great question. We're going to grab a question here from the online chat. We have Island Public School joining us, and they would like to know, what are some reasons why a sloth might need to be rescued?
Okay, great question. Thank you. So there are several reasons why we receive sloths. In the case of babies, as I said before, it's because they're orphans. So either the mother died or abandoned them. In the case of adults, 70 to 80% of the adult sloths that we're receiving here, they're arriving here due to electrocution. So in Costa Rica and in other countries here in Central America, there are like really tall towers with power lines, and sometimes due to habitat loss, sloths have to climb on those power lines and they get electrocuted. Once they get electrocuted, they fall. So yeah, first they need to survive the electrocution, then they fall, and that's when we rescue them. Other reasons why we rescue them are that they get attacked by dogs, also that they get run over by cars, and yeah, I will say those are like the most common ones.
All right, let's grab another live classroom here. We've got Miss Meredith's class hanging out with us today. How we doing, Miss Meredith's crew? There they are.
Good. Do you have a question? Okay, you can ask.
Me too. It's not really an important question. I'm just asking. When koalas are born, do they go on their mother's back like koalas?
Okay, that's true. Yeah, the babies, they will hang on to their mom, and yeah, we'll stay living stick to the mom for a while until they are ready to live alone, to be by themselves, and that's when the mom abandons them.
Okay.
So,
Bye.
All right.
just to check on that, Isaac, do they ride on the back, or do they ride on the stomach, or do they do both?
Whichever is more comfortable, I'll say, but it's most common to see them like on the stomach, I'll say. Yeah.
All right, very cool. We're going to come back your way, Miss Meredith's crew, see if we can grab another question. We've got Madame Corrine's class hanging out with us. There they are. I see someone waiting to ask a question. We're ready for you. Oh, can you unmute for us?
We're not anymore. We have 3 quick questions.
Okay, let's do it.
No, 3. Go ahead.
So my name's Erica, and my question is, like, how many babies do sloths have in one litter?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So usually, the mom will have just one baby. Could happen that she has twins. However, unfortunately, when that happens, the mom will abandon one of them and she will take care of just one sloth. So that's actually one of the reasons why we rescued baby sloths, because, as I said before, sometimes they get abandoned by the mom.
Thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Next question.
Keegan, I see. My name is Keegan.
My name's Keegan. Two quick questions.
One.
Are the claws can the claws come can they let go of the claws, or are they retractable?
All right. So their claws are actually an extension of their bone. Internally, the external part is keratin, the same protein we have in our fingernails. So yeah, no, they're not retractable.
Thank you. Last question from a group. Let's say your name.
Hello, my name is Owen, and I was wondering, can sloths can sloths catch the same disease as humans?
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, sloths are understudied animals, and we are still learning lots of things about them. However, there has been no report on sloths infecting humans or the other way. Actually, when we started, when we were stopped using the masks during the on-site tours here at the ranch, we were recommended by the vets to still wear the masks, after the pandemic, with the wildcats and the monkeys. However, since sloths are so different and apart from other animals like humans, we didn't have to worry about not wearing masks with sloths.
Thank
So yeah,
you. Thank you.
All right,
welcome.
Banana Green's crew, great questions. So we are going to go back to some of our camera classrooms for another lightning round. We'll take a few more questions, but before we do, I want to take one from online. Trentwood Elementary School would like to know, are sloths nocturnal? Are they active at night?
Okay, that's a great question. And it depends. Two-finger sloths, this is species that we have, they are nocturnal. However, three-finger sloths, they tend to be more diurnal. Although nocturnal doesn't mean strictly that they'll be sleeping during the whole day, because that'll make them lazy. You can see that George is awake right now. So nocturnal means that they are more active at night. So you might see nocturnal animals awake during daytime, but doing not too much. During the night is when they get way more active. And yeah, that includes the sloths.
Okay, let's see here. Let's mix it up a little in our order. Let's go to Farmington. I think I see someone there in a red shirt. All right, bud, we're ready for you.
What made you want to work at the Costa Rica Rescue Ranch?
All right, that's a great question. Thank you so much. Well, I have the advantage that I'm Costa Rican and I grew up here in this country surrounded by nature, and I fell in love with Costa Rican animals. I think they're amazing. Since I was a little boy, I remember I used to watch animals in my backyard and be completely amazed every time that I learned a new fun fact about them. And yeah, animals, they're pretty cool. They are not as aware of their actions as humans are. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to get to study these incredible creatures and to make up a bit of what humans have caused to them, right? So yeah, thank you so much for that question.
All right, great question. Let's see here. Let's go to our third graders. Let's see if there's another question from our third graders.
How big can their claws get?
How big can their claws get? That's a great question. Now, roughly, this is an estimation. I'll say around 6 centimeters. I'm not sure how much that is in inches, sorry. But yeah, like 5, 6 centimeters, I will say. Or at least those are like the biggest ones that I've seen.
All right. Thanks, third graders. Miss McGinnis's crew, fourth grade.
Hi, my name is Holden, and how do sloths use the restroom?
How do sloths use their what, sorry?
The restroom.
The restroom.
The bath.
Okay. All right, great question. Huh. Let me see if I can show you something really quick. So before, when I started the tour, I got to see a sloth using the restroom. Okay, yeah. So they go all the way down to the ground. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but there are some small balls, some small pellets, and those are sloth poop. So yeah, that's one of the most interesting things about sloths, and one of the many mysteries surrounding them. They go all the way down to the ground, and it makes no sense. They are more vulnerable on the ground. They will have to spend energy descending. So there's not an answer yet for these questions. Why they defecate on the ground? There are several hypotheses, but none has been 100% proven yet. Great question. Thank you so much.
All right. And I
Thank
think
you.
it's important to add that it's once a week, right, Isaac? For
That's
both.
correct. Once a week due to their slow metabolism.
All right. Very cool. And then Miss Meredith's crew, we should give you a chance for one more question as
Thank
well.
you. Wesley? You can ask your question.
How do sloths learn how to climb?
How do sloths? What? Sorry, pardon?
How do sloths learn how to climb?
Okay. Great question. And I would say they're kind of like born and ready for it. They live most of their lives up in trees since they're born, and their first instinct is to grab on their moms. So yeah, since they're little tiny babies, they know how to grab on things and how to use their claws and their pulling muscles. So yeah, they will just transfer those abilities to trees later.
We have one more question. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, Hayden?
How old could sloths get?
Right, one more time, sorry.
You say.
You say it nice and loud.
How old could sloths get?
How old can sloths get? That's a great question. And the answer is, I have no idea. And I'm being honest here. So, as I said before, sloths are understudied animals. People years ago used to believe that they are boring, so that's why no one really studied them years ago. And that's why I don't believe that someone has followed an entire sloth life. Because, well, if you Google it, if you look the books and the theory, you'll see that they live between 25 to 30 years. But I don't buy it because, yeah, that information is not 100% proved. And also, the oldest living sloth lives in a zoo in Germany, and it's 52 years old. So yeah, it's 52 years old, and that's why I don't think that they live between 25 to 30 years.
All right. Thanks, Miss Meredith's class.
Thank you.
So I'm going to come back in here now. Isaac, that was such a great visit to the Toucan Rescue Ranch. I'm so excited that some of our sloths were nice and active, and we got to see them moving around. We got to see the babies in school, which was pretty cool. I want to make sure that I share the link. It's always important to share the link, toucanrescueranch.org, if you want to learn more, if you want to potentially make a donation. And then, of course, if you're ever around the San Jose area in Costa Rica, you have to visit the Toucan Rescue Ranch. I will be there next week, so hopefully I will be able to drop in and say hi to everybody at Toucan Rescue Ranch. A shout out to our classrooms. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for all of those great questions. So many questions online, so many camera classes. A few had to leave for recess, but there are some still here, so let's bring them in. Boys and girls, if you want to get nice and loud. Isaac, thank you again for another amazing visit to the Toucan Rescue Ranch. We love hearing about the work you're doing.
It was my pleasure, Joe. Thank you so much, actually.
Okay. Well,
All
thanks so much, everybody. We are going to sign off from today's event. Have a great rest of the week.